Welcome back. My name is Patrick Nolan. I'm an attorney licensed in the state of Missouri. This is Pat Talks Law. Now I'm doing this in the office because, quite frankly, this one's going to take a little bit of time and I have to reference documents that I simply can't do while I'm driving, at least not remotely safety. This morning, the Consumer Cannabis Coalition released a white paper that is a extremely thorough documentation of what happened through the medical marijuana licensing process in the state of Missouri. They're naming the names, who's connected to who, how they're connected. They go in extreme detail, even including minutes from meetings that you think might have been confidential. Now, we don't know how they got some of this, but it is extremely well documented. There are footnotes throughout it. And for those of you that want to see this, it is 156 pages. I'm going to link to it in the description. There will be a link on my website. So we're going to make this available for you to read. It is, I'll just read from the executive summary on this. The struggle to control medical marijuana licenses and market share in Missouri has been hotly contested since 2014. This has led to 5 diverging campaign groups differing over access to licensing and strategy during the time period 2014 through 2018. In November of 2018, Missouri voters approved New Approach Missouri's initiative petition, Constitutional Amendment 2, implementing medical marijuana in Missouri, now Amendment 14 of the Missouri Constitution. In January 2020, some 1,800 out of 2,200 license applications were denied, sparking controversy and legislative investigations into the process. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, we did a video yesterday. There's 853 lawsuits against the state stemming out of that. Most of those are alleging impropriety on behalf of the state and in the licensing process. The Missouri Governor Parson had vowed that he's going to fight every single one of those. And of course, the money they're using to fight those is the money that was raised in the medical marijuana program, ostensibly and constitutionally, is targeted for Missouri veterans. That money is supposed to be going to help Missouri veterans with housing, heat, health care, and other needs. That is to help the neediest of our bravest and most sacrificial people in the state. And it's rather appalling that Governor Parson is using the opportunity to redirect that money to, basically attorneys. As an attorney, I'm still offended. I'm not getting a cut of that money, by the way. If I was, I'd still be offended. I just wouldn't be able to talk about it. So, first, why is this report important? It is a solid documentation of who, where, and when. It isn't complete. I mean, there are gaps. And this is put on by an organization that had access and has collected a lot of information and put that information together for you. But they weren't working with subpoena power or the ability to depose people. That's going to happen in the cases. And, as most of you are aware, the Calicoats case should be going to trial here very soon. So the Cannabis Coalition, who are they and why does it matter? It's a 501c3. They're claiming to act as a consumer watchdog in the cannabis industry. Now, they want to educate consumers and the public on cannabis-related issues. They would like to see industry standards for safety, quality control, pricing, pesticide, fertilizer use, labeling, testing, customer service, ethical business practice, consumer rights in the workplace, and other emerging issues that impact cannabis consumers. They say that it was created out of a need for a voice for the cannabis consumer that was not influenced exclusively by industry attorneys and lobbyists, and an organization that focuses on the cannabis consumer's needs. And that's great. It's pie in the sky thinking. It's also means that they're not going to be getting big bucks from the cannabis industry. This organization is not going to be getting $1 million check from OCAN to help. So the emerging cannabis industry, they say, has been dominated by special interests benefiting businesses with limited consumer input on protection, selection, safety, and quality of the cannabis produced, or the way the businesses are formed or managed. Um, One of the things to think about here is we just had an issue where a person bought an ounce, or excuse me, an eighth of medical marijuana, and it had mold in it. The state of Missouri responded by saying, "Oh well, there was only 150 milligrams of mold in the 3.5 grams of marijuana." Um, which 150 milligrams, that does not sound like much to most of us. However, if you think about it, that means that just under 5% of the medical marijuana that person purchased was mold, which presents a very serious issue. So, what this report does extremely well is it details the history of the legalization approaches in Missouri. There's the steps towards medical marijuana. There's the steps ultimately leading towards recreational that are currently underway. We know that New Approach Missouri has a recreational approach that's going to mirror the medical marijuana approach. The biggest problem with that is it's also going to restrict the ability to produce, distribute, and sell marijuana to the most likely cartels already in existence. And I use that word deliberately with full understanding of the implications that it makes. The businesses that are in existence are in a position of power. And the MOCAN trade organization clearly has access into Governor Parson's office. And Governor Parson is very vocal since it was questioned his loyalty to this organization and has come out strongly against medical marijuana. That this report drops the week before voting and we have a gubernatorial election coming up is also a pretty important question. I mean, you got to wonder, is there a component of attempting to influence the election with this? And while that does exist, I'm sure, the essence of this is they're saying this is what's happening, this is what's going on, and this is where we are. The report very pointedly avoids accusing anybody of corruption. The report doesn't make any accusations. It lays it out there, and you can draw your own conclusion. And the conclusion that some people are going to draw is that this report lays out an argument that there was corruption. This report lays out some concerns with the various entities that have been involved. Okay, we're talking about pervasive conflicts of interest surrounding Wise Health Solutions, Complia, Kenna Advisors, Green Rush Consulting, and other groups have been connected to the New Approach Missouri campaign team. What we don't have is the smoking gun. But this is contributing to the evidentiary packet. And everybody who has a case currently pending against the state is looking at this report today. I will guarantee you their legal staffs are looking at this and they're going to say, okay, how does this help or hurt us? And they're going to look at the documentation, they're going to look at the sourcing for all the information that's posted in here. And, let's be honest, there's a lot of information and the source is going to be the question. So when we get in and we look at it, what is the passage rates, what has happened? Let me give you a quick run through of what the table of contents looks like. The amazing passage of cannabis legislation in 2014. Missourians for Compassionate Care and New Approach Missouri push for medical marijuana 2014 and 2016. The 2018 cycle, House of Reps takes a stand while 3 competing ballot initiative campaigns can't agree on licensing. And runs through information on that. talks about the right to try medical marijuana, Representative Dr. Jim Neely's approach, Brad Brashaw's approach, Missourians for Patient Care, talks about the campaign finance issues, licensing frameworks, the Stingarello corruption scandal, New Approach Missouri, talks about the partisan administration's implementation of New Approach Missouri constitutional amendment, talks about restrictive licensing components, Wise Health Solutions misrepresenting their record in other states, the Nevada licensing controversy, the Arkansas licensing controversy, the revolving door for marijuana license consulting, stakeholders, consultants, lobbyists. We've just got people moving around there. Then you come down and this has a lot of information. It is densely packed, and I'm not going to pretend to try and unpack it all right now. I think that there are things that need to be looked at, and we'll probably do some videos over time. Skipping forward to their page 77 analysis of the revolving doors. With a former employee directly involved in scoring company Wise Health Solutions, Sarkowski's candidate advisors were well placed to connect other individuals with Wise Health Solutions job openings and further identify other individuals who were hired by Wise Health Solutions. There's also a plausible story for the relationship between Sheriff Murakami, Debbie Goldsberry, and numerous other individuals with experience and networks in California, Oregon, and Colorado, among other states. Okay, and it's talking about the relationships and how these people got connected to each other and how our current medical marijuana framework took place. I think this is very important for you to read. It's very important for you to understand if you're interested. I think it's the basis for a phenomenal book. I also think it's incomplete. There's more information that could be in here that isn't for whatever reasons. That could be the organization that created this simply didn't have the funds to fully go all out, or the organization that created this, like any organization, is protecting a point of view. I can't say. What I can say is this is the most complete analysis and discussion of Missouri's medical marijuana program since the legislature detailed Governor Parsons' obstruction of the process in their investigation of the medical marijuana program administration. Really, take it, read it, look at it. Let's talk about it. If you have any specific questions, let's get into it and discuss that. So, here's a clause from page 84 in Addendum H. The emails don't appear to represent illegal activity, they contend. And this is in interviews with the Star. Applicants say the emails paint a picture of Tilly getting access few could have imagined as they were navigating the application process. They don't appear to represent illegal activity, they contend, but they do raise ethical concerns about whether this level of access was a major advantage when thousands of applications were being filed for only 340 licenses. So, there's questions about, the connections. Quite frankly, you probably need to have the right connection to get the license. And that's not the way the system was supposed to work. It's a shame, but read through, look at what they have here. It is all sourced. That's what I like. You've got the sources, where they got the information, how they got the information for what they say. There are gaps, but I think those gaps are because they can't source the information to fill those gaps. So this is dense, it's well done, and I think it's going to play a role in the cases going forward and possibly into investigations regarding ethical conduct, possibly illegal conduct on behalf of people involved with DHSS and the state. We'll see what happens with that. Now, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, hit the alert bell so you can follow us. Go ahead and click the link and get your copy of this document. Read it. And I will say that when it was distributed to us, we were asked if we would mention the Cannabis Consumer Coalition. They, of course, are attempting to raise money. There's also the Crossing Paths PAC, which is working for legalization at the legislature level. They're looking to approve legalization of recreational marijuana going through the legislature, so that if there are any issues like exist with Amendment 14, they can fix it at the legislative level instead of trying to have to pass another ballot measure. It is my understanding that they're working very hard to push that through. I would like to get a free market licensing platform set up in Missouri so that when federal legalizations opens up, our state will be well positioned for the opportunities that will be created in national and global export. So that is something, if you're interested in that, go take a look at them, crossingpathspac.com. And they've got a lot of information available as well, and they have their information that's going to be available from Cannabis Consumers. And there are some connections between the organizations. That's where we're at. I'd appreciate it if you go ahead and take a look at it. You need to, and then let's have a discussion. Thank you.